Hello and welcome back to the Blizzard Arena here for the HGC Finals Group Stage for 2018. It's been an amazing 4 days, but it is kind of coming to an end. I see you out there. Thank you so much for that sign. We've had an amazing time. It's been a great group stage. We know who our top 8 are that are headed to BlizzCon, but we've got one more lightning hot, piping hot match for you. Before I get into that, though, I just want to say thank you so much for me personally, for having me here, allowing me a chance to host. I will be back next week. Huge shout out to our cast crew, everyone who's been a part of this opening week. Huge shout out to you guys who came to sit in the seats and cheer on these fans, and also to you who tuned in on the stream. It's been an amazing 4 days. Next week's going to be even better. All right, let's get to it. Gen.G versus Miracle. 2 of the top teams out of Korea. This is going to be amazing because Miracle has been one of those teams that's been able to crack the code of Gen.G. Can they do it again? That is the question. Let's head over to Gillyweed to get it started.
Only team this year that is able to crack the code of Gen.G. They have beaten Gen.G twice this phase, both times in league play. And if they can do it here, if they can 2-0, things get even more dire for Gen.G because they would have to play a tiebreaker game, a single game, with a team they already fear, Team Liquid, that's already taken 1 game off of them. This is it, guys. This match is for the top of the group.
I'm pretty hyped for it. I think that Gen.G can pull through, but I have to admit, coming in, I actually thought they only needed a single map win to tie it with Miracle and then go into a tiebreaker there. So no, they need to 2-0 that in order to advance, which is going to make it a bit harder. But I have faith that they are very eager to win this match now.
Exactly. Let's look at the standings because this is so crucial. 2-0 for Gen.G. They top the group. They avoid Team Dignitas. 1-1 with Miracle, and Miracle is at the top of the group. They get to avoid Team Dignitas, and if Miracle 2-0s, then they have to face, Gen.G has to face Team Liquid in a tiebreaker game, and we heard it, Dread. Gen.G does not want to face them again.
Yeah, especially after dropping that 1 game already to Team Liquid. Team Liquid seems to be gaining their momentum throughout this tournament, and so I would be very much timid and not want to approach that as well. But you brought up how Gen.G has been able to, or Miracle has been able to crack the code of Gen.G. I think it's very important to remind everyone at home, it's not been a one-time deal. This has been back-to-back series that they have been able to take on Gen.G.
Just think about for this 1 second. Let's say Gen.G loses here with an 0-2 and Liquid wins the tie. All of a sudden, as Hero's Heart, but your reward for taking down Tempest is you get to play Gen.G in the next round.
Okay, you're right. A bit of a struggle there.
Echoes of the mid-season brawl last year starting to come in, wondering if things are not what we expect from the Korean teams that have been dominant for so far. All of this year, Tempest has looked really good at mid-season brawl. It felt like they were going to be maybe the best contender to take out Gen.G, and then Team Dignitas came swooping back in and said, not today, my friends. And then we got the best series of Heroes of the Storm ever. I cannot believe we are already almost done with opening week and that we just have 1 best of 2 left, and it's going to be one of the best of 2s that we've had the whole opening week.
Yeah, exactly, and especially since there's so much on the line right now from all avenues you look at it. But for Miracle to, I don't know, for me personally, it's always different when you play at an event, when you are all of a sudden at the venue, and I think Gen.G very much realizes how much is at stake here. So I think we're going to see them approach this with a different mindset that they had in their regular league play, especially since both of the victories that Miracle had over them went all the distance to the 5th map.
And with Tempest being in 3rd place, the loser of this, unless a tiebreaker happens, would be playing versus them. And for Miracle, that's something they don't want to happen either. I talked about Gen.G being fearful of Team Liquid. They said they were the most scary for them coming into the group stage. That's the same thing for Miracle and Tempest. They feel like Tempest are their Achilles heels, Dread.
Yeah, it feels like it's kind of a 3-way street at the top of Korea, where it's Miracle is the only one who can put a dent into Gen.G. Gen.G is able to hold its own against Tempest, but Tempest somehow can get Miracle as well. It's a rock, paper, scissors between the 3, and that is why Miracle want to dodge it there. But that guy on your screen, Blue Beetle, him and Judy, and their transfer into this roster, I think is very much a large portion of the reason as to why we're asking, are they going to be the #1 seed moving into the final stages of the HGC Finals?
Yeah, Judy in particular just had absolutely amazing plays in the games that they played so far. It was incredible. And especially that one Tracer kill against Arcana just comes to mind again. That play that he made there literally won them the series.
And for Pete's sake, don't give him Garrosh. It's too many times. He has been too powerful on that hero. If I see a Judy Garrosh, I'm going to be asking Gen.G some questions after this series. then let's talk about Gen.G. Let's turn our attention to the current world champions. Did we think there was a possibility they'd be in this position? Yeah, they're in a group with the team that's beaten them twice, but it's freaking Gen.G, Caldor.
At the same time, they only dropped the map. And it can happen. In a best of two, you just don't pay attention once you have a bad fight and it can turn around against you. So far, they still have everything in their own hands. They don't need to rely on anyone else. They can take this with a 2-0 and then claim the #1 spot in the group. They stumbled once against Team Liquid, but again, as we said before, in a best of two format, you have to always be on point, and they slipped once, and we'll see today if that's something that is going to have a serious consequence for them, or if it's going to be all right in the long run.
The one thing for me when it comes to Gen.G and whether or not, should they be in this situation, a lot of it comes down to their mentality. I think much like when we look at teams like Tempo Storm and their performance going on, are you hiding things? Is that the thought process going forward? I think for Gen.G, it's like, did you come into this expecting to be so cutthroat that you were going to be flawless throughout groups? Because we've seen in the past, when they are still international leaders, they're comfortable going, you know what, it's a group stage. We're going to find a good seeding. We aren't too worried about it here. And so if that is the thought process for Gen.G, I think that they are very safe going into the series. But something inside of me here just keeps going, like, I think Miracle has it. I've been rumoring in the back that I wonder if Miracle is suddenly this dark horse of this tournament. And I feel like this is going to be the moment where we maybe start going, maybe we've been underestimating this COD way too much.
One of the secret weapons they have is Nacho Gen, who was the former teammate of Noblesse. Gen.G Slayers are what we're calling Miracle. And when you look back to their most recent series, it's not like it was a complete stomp by any means. It went all the way to Game 5. And that's something to keep in mind, right? Like, yes, Miracle have won both those times, but it's always been close. But what was strange for me is that Gen.G started out, they won one, then they lost one, then they won another one. The one they lost was Battlefield of Eternity. They got an early lead, things happened. It was past that, losing Game 4, and then Game 5 on Dragon. That was the big teller for me, because Gen.G are a super strong Dragonshire team, and yet it was Miracle that felt like they were out macroing. It was Miracle who was forcing Gen.G to look for picks and things that's not how it feels for Gen.G. Yeah, they'll go for them, especially up top when they can start diving that fort, but that's not the feel for Gen.G on Dragonshire Dread.
Yeah, it is not the feel there, and a lot of this is kind of playing out interestingly, and when focusing on the Battleground specifically, another thing to keep in mind is Towers of Doom. That's kind of been a kryptonite, not only because it's Miracle's one of their best Battlegrounds, it's one of the worst of Gen.G, even looking before the Eastern Clash.
Well, I can help you out on that one then, because Gen.G is changing up their map ban.
Yes.
Caldor, so they don't have to go there.
Exactly, they banned Towers of Doom, and if you look at the two series that Gen.G played against Miracle, it's also the only map where they actually lost twice against them, so it makes perfect sense here to ban that out. Miracle, on the other hand, they are banning Tomb. We're starting things off with Infernal Shrines, where the teams went 1-1 in the regular season.
And that Tomb ban, a lot of teams tend to ban Tomb versus Gen.G in their league play, when it's Korea versus Korea. Infernal Shrines is a pretty even place to start. Both of these teams have shown that they like Infernal Shrines. It gets a lot of play in Korea, but then beyond that, looking at the most recent series, Gen.G did win on this, but it was the first game in the series, and also it felt like some of the roles that Miracle were playing, I'll come out and say it. Sniper was playing Medivh versus Frankel. I think Frankel has a far better Medivh than Sniper, and I felt like that was kind of a drawback for Miracle.
And before the draft kicks off too far, there is one thing that also exists for Miracle on Infernal Shrines that a lot of other teams are not looking at so much, and that's Nacho Jin on his Sonya. He's going to be bringing that out, likely if it is an ideal situation post-secondary ban phase. And that's something that Gen.G are not, it's not like they aren't comfortable with that. They probably expect that coming out, but his impact has been very, very much felt, not only in their regional, but also here at the finals. So Toronto banned out, Maev not surprising so far. I expect to see a Medivh somewhere here between these teams.
Even a Thrall band right now, and Thrall, of course, really dominant in the Korean region in particular. We saw that coming in at the Eastern Clash a lot, to an extent where the European teams also started to copy that quite regularly, especially Team Liquid. With Arcana, they normally look towards Korea and see what they are playing, so we had Thrall all of a sudden pop up. With that Sundering that Korea actually brought back, while everyone else was focused on Earthquake, they started to go for those Sundering flanks again, and Gen.G doesn't want to deal with those engage tools.
So far, what Gen.G has shown is a proliferation of Raynor on this map, but with Diablo, they'll get that. That means Judy's Garrosh is up!
It's available.
I'm just saying!
It's likely going to be the selection. I feel like there's no way you can wait this out. The only reason you would not go down that direction, and again, I feel like that's a very low probability, would be concerned over some macro-oriented play on Shrines, knowing that Diablo is picked up. Typically, pretty good bully when it comes to the Shrine itself.
And I mean, last time the two played, it was actually Miracle who picked up Diablo there. I would say that draft back then was, in general, just really strong. And we're having, again, the high priority on Jim Raynor, which we are seeing from the Korean teams over and over again, more so than any other team here. But now with those two picks and the Deckard Hanzo follow-up on the side of Gen.G, we immediately have the opportunity to ban a Garrosh out if you're worried about it.
Right.
But then, of course, there's always the argument, how much value did you get on the Shrine with Garrosh? Is that really the hero that excels here as much as he does on other maps?
Well, a steal on the preferred ranged damage dealers. Miracle has shown that they like Hanzo here in the group stage so far. Raynor's been picked twice by Gen.G, so we're just going to swap those up. And then following up with a Zeratol ban. With the throw being out of the way, if Rich was going to play something, could be Rich, maybe Kyochi even beyond that if they're going to stick to being very melee heavy.
I mean, I really like the opening from Gen.G here already. You have, with Deckard Cain, great zone control, and you can literally just like cut off these entrances towards the Shrine. We have with Hanzo a very aggressive style that comes into it as well. Dignitas, for example, started to heavily adopt Hanzo in early rotations in their own play because they said they needed an aggressive engage tool, a hero that can set that up, and now you have that here.
Okay, so one thing that I wanted to point out too as well was the Kerrigan ban on Gen.G's I think is very well educated, especially considering the fact that they do have the Blaze. The synergy that can exist between those and having that secondary health pool is a great tool. And I wonder if Nacho Gen on the Blaze is going to have the impact needed. But the one question still remaining is what is going to be the mage here for
the Nano.
And I think, I want to say, is there any world where we end up going the Mephisto? I know they haven't yet on this Battleground ever, but other than that, it's Jaina. It would be my go-to thought process here. But Gen.G, pick up the Jaina. So Li Ming it is?
That's what my guess would be. But this is a Miracle Classic. It's a secret weapon of theirs to bring in that Ana. And Gen.G know that. And they steal Jaina away. They also get Yrel. It's going to give some more armor for that kind of damage, whatever it is.
Fnatic played Ana quite a bit in Europe and actually had very good success with her, especially playing her on maps like Battlefield of Eternity. And we saw that combined with especially Li Ming and Jaina, the two of them. But it is the Mephisto.
I don't think there's any world they can pick anything other than a Jaina or Gul'dan in this situation. You have no Shrine control and wave clear if you do not go into that. Mephisto, he doesn't have the wave clear, but he does have the threat and the kill potential on the Shrine itself, and that's why I think with the Ana pickup here, I like it. I think Gul'dan is way too late game, but let's be real here. This is not the first time that Miracle's ever done this Ana into the Mephisto play, and Gen.G, again, should know this and be well prepared for it.
We're actually seeing from Gen.G a combo that we have seen in Europe after the Western Clash would absolutely dominate it, and that's Diablo, Deckard, Cain, and Yrel. That trio has seen a few nerfs, especially on the Yrel side, but it was nearly unkillable. I think the track record at some point was 10-0 within Europe, played by all kinds of teams from the top to the bottom. So we're going to see exactly that. Extremely difficult to break through, and really good damage now with a follow-up through Jaina and through Hanzo too.
It's not the first time that they've played the Ana Mephisto before, or even Mephisto, but it is the first time we're seeing it on Shrines. They have played Mephisto once on it, was versus Tempest. And we know how Tempest versus Miracle goes. It is not in Miracle's favor at all. Because this match is oh so important, I would like to hear who you guys think has this game. Dread?
Game number one, I'm going with Gen.G. Compositionally speaking, stronger. I think the Kerrigan ban they didn't expect, and I personally think that Miracle took too high risk with the Blaze Raynor opener, and I think they got punished in the draft.
As I said, I like the trio at the front. I think it's a draft that is extremely difficult to break through. Miracle will have to have way better execution and be absolutely on point in order to break through that, so I agree with that. Gen.G is going to win this one.
Well, I was going to say Gen.G, but I wanted to have some drama. Fine. Miracle it is. We're going to go over the casters for this awesome Game 1.
Awesome indeed, because we have two of Korea's best now. Miracle on the rise. Wolf, what are your thoughts on these drafts?
I mean, I'm not doing it just to be ironic. I think Miracle is going to take this series 2-0. They have a pretty unorthodox draft here. The Ana pick, especially with Mephisto in game number one, I think is going to be the pick that people are wondering, was this correct? Was this risk worth it? It's not a Li Ming map, so they couldn't take Li Ming as that final mage pick. The Jaina was denied. Big risk here. But they are Gen.G's kryptonite, man. 10 games they've played this year, and they've only, they've come out 2-0 in that league play.
Well, there you can see Gen.G. They're going to be on the left here in blue with Reset on that Jaina, Sake on Deckard, Tist will be on Diablo, Kyocha on Yrel, Rich on Hanzo. That is Gen.G.
Their opponents in red, it's Miracle Sniper playing on the Raynor, Frankel on the Mephisto, Nacho Gen on Blaze, Blue Beetle on his signature Ana, and Judy, the main tank player, the backbone of this team. We're playing the rare Anubarak here, so it's not a very strong map for Garrosh, despite being left open. He did not take the opportunity to lock it in.
It's going to be interesting to see how you play around that. Nubrak, we know, has that dive style, but can also play around defensively with some options. The bed of barbs at level 4 can also help. Nice scatter arrow in early by Rich, but the control, the movement around as Kyocha goes in. He doesn't want to be CC'd, gets the knockback. They get the Blizzard down, and now we'll resort to the laning phase.
You know, you don't really think of Mephisto as a burst mage per se. He does a lot of sustained damage, and with the Q build, you can kind of poke your way in. Raynor can clean everybody up. But that kind of changes when Nano Boost comes into play. You get that cooldown reduction, you get that extra spell power, and when he is going for this Q build, the unyielding power at level 1, it allows for more burst. It's not the same level of burst as a Jaina, for example, but it is still very powerful, very good for shrine control, because you're fighting over an objective in a single area. So it's, again, a risk that they've taken. It's very difficult to protect the Mephisto, get him in position when there's a Diablo on the other side. But if the risk pays off, Miracle can, post-10, have a lot of explosive power.
Well, you mentioned the explosive power. You think about Mephisto, you think about the Jaina, the Q build coming out here from Mephisto. You want to get that increased damage. Nice impale there as the stun's coming out from the Warriors there. And Frankel going in, using that shade, getting in there poke. But Jaina, with that Globe quest and her baseline, stronger late game. Mephisto, once he completes his stacks, stronger late game. But then you think, can they kill people early? Heck yeah, they can. There's a lot of firepower as long as you're landing your skill shots with both of them.
Yeah, absolutely true. And we are going to see in this early game, because both of these teams have such phenomenal main tank players, Judy, of course, versus Tist here, it's so difficult to invade, as we saw just previously. Gen.G looking for the rotation down here with Diablo, but huge positional advantage and numbers advantage here for Miracle, so I don't like this rotation for Gen.G, and they may get punished for it. Rich getting very low here, gets queued, does get the potions here, but the cap will be Miracle's.
I think that's a safe call. Gen.G maybe overcommitted a little bit, but they didn't commit too much. The Jaina never made the rotation down. Jaina post 7 is when she's at her strongest. Hanzo, he continues to power up, getting that scatter arrow build online, but the explosive arrows now here for more of that damage at level 4. So Miracle with the control in the early game, Gen.G willing to relent that control for now.
Yep, they get a small experience lead in this early game, keeping Jaina in the off lane, not committing a 4-man rotation, but rather a 3 where Miracle had 4 down there. So even though they lose the camp, they're not behind in experience, so it doesn't feel like, it almost feels like an even trade in that regard. But the Shrine is going to activate in center here. This is going to be an opportunity for Gen.G in this early game, I feel, with Diablo to get an early Punisher and take that experience lead. But I do think it's a good chance for Miracle, if they can get a good sleep dart, to actually set up a play with Mephisto and Raynor. Solo out the Diablo, avoid that engage, and then collapse on top of him.
Yeah, with the Mephisto, it's all about staying on a target with that Lightning Nova, even going into the shield at level 4. As Dread alluded to, Miracle doesn't necessarily have great Shrine clear and control. You have the Pepper, you have some damage that can come out, but a lot of that, when you look at that, does tend to favor Gen.G. We'll see how Miracle does approach this, as they've got a deficit here in the early stages.
That's right, Tist is leading the charge here, starting to head onto the Shrine. They do have the lead in terms of the defenders. It's going to be Judy who is the target, exposing the backline right now, but you can see that sustained damage is working really well for Miracle. Franco going to go ahead and commit in. Just the target here for Kyocha. Heal denied. He's caught. And that's it.
Jump was interrupted. They're going to try and get the trade out. Nacho Gen very low here, trying to get out of there. The stun goes in. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far on those offlaners. Tis trying to walk away. Will continue to get those Deckard heals. You can see Tis moving in the range of that Lightning Nova. Frankel almost gets taken down by that Sonic Arrow. Instead, it's going to be Sniper. A bloodbath here to start the game.
Oh, man. Reset just got that full Blizzard damage there onto Sniper. He was stuck in that vent, couldn't get out, and that extra damage does not only get the kill for Gen.G to tie up that team fight in terms of kills, but it will guarantee them the first Punisher of the game. Very fortunate for Gen.G that 2 things. First of all, as you can see a picture-in-picture, the Shaman cap was pushing, so got a wall, so extra experience there, and it's an Arcane Punisher, so that's going to help them push towards 10. So a little bit of luck with that Punisher here on the side of Gen.G. That spike for Miracle is definitely going to be level 10, so to have that advantage as long as possible is what Gen.G is hoping for here.
Now when it comes to Test, although he's going to get the stun there, that was the shade going out, so the shield coming on the way back, but with those kills and those early stacks around that Shrine, Tist is pretty well stacked. There's going to be the Root Sniper with the knockback will buy time. Frankel, however, that shade is right there. See if he can get his hands on him. Tist does. That's going to be another kill, 3-1. You know what? Let's go ahead and make it 4 as Anubrak is going to be there, and now Tist firing on all cylinders.
Oh man, the synergy here between Deckard, Kane, and Jaina is real. They're just able to set up the Root into Blizzard combo too consistently here for the squishy backline on the side of Miracle. Nacho Jin nearly gets caught by that slow there. Might have been the life of him, or rather death of him, life taken away. But, you know, this is a full fort down. And this is not very common. When you look at the composition for Gen.G too, it's not like they have massive sieging power. We're looking at a Jaina and a Hanzo, but when you're able to make those kills happen because you can hit those scroll of ceilings, the follow-up damage is consistently there for reset with those blizzards, with those cone of colds. You're getting enough kills to set yourself up for that push being super successful.
They do have a lot of that. I mean, you just look at it compositionally now that with the Diablo stacked, everybody has the slow, the control there, whether it's the Rel, whether it's the Diablo, whether it's Deckard, even Jaina getting in on the mix. This is compositionally different than what we saw in the previous series. There was a lot on Diablo's shoulders, but when you mix in the Deckard and the Jaina alone, those slows have contributed a lot to make sure and get the proper lockdown on the follow-up CC, and they have the firepower behind it, Wolf, to really confirm those kills here early game.
Certainly true, and you know, the more kills, the easier it is to get souls for Diablo, building up a lot. So I mean, this game is snowballing very quickly away from Miracle at the moment. Franco's just trying to get as much poke done as possible. Sleep here just looking for a delay. They can't actually commit to engage onto Tist. He's too tanky, and there's too much peel here. The big problem I have is that mid camp isn't cleared yet, and at the same time, Kyocha is pushing hard top. So 10 is ready. We're going to see the Water Elemental come out here. And Miracle needs to be very careful because Gen.G is one of the teams that's known to, and it's probably one of the most successful teams at doing this, diving forts when they have a heroic advantage.
Well, you can see Urel on the minimap starting to make the way down for that double soak, but in a position that if the dive is possible, they will make that. The Judean team, they recognize this. They said, look, we cannot defend this. We don't have 10, and there's not much you can do with the heroics online, and knowing the threat of Gen.G, you still see Urel hanging around. They don't quite get the fort down, but if Gen.G does get this fort down, this is a massive advantage. It's almost 2 full levels here 7 minutes in.
And it's the other key parts of this are there's just nowhere to run when these forts are down. You have so much control of the map and a composition that chases with the Water Elemental. Diablo can, of course, pin you down. You have the arrow. It means moving around the bottom of the map right now for the rest of the game is going to be so much more difficult for Miracle, not to mention, obviously, the lost healing wells. That advantage that Gen.G holds for shrine fights for extra sustain. They've already got the Deckard Cain on their side. So, that all being said, Miracle now, basically, the game for them begins now. They have 10, they've got the nano boost. That's the whole point of this composition with the Ana. So, sure, those challenges with the bot lane exist, but this is where Miracle starts to win team fights.
Well, these teams holding the camps aren't necessarily for pushing power, it's lane control. Where you see that lane right now, it's the midway point. Whoever controls that midway point gets an advantage with moving forward on the shrine. Most of the fights will exist at the lower part of the shrine and spill over into the lane. The Judean team, let's see what position they take moving forward. So does Tisk. Tisk has his eyes on Judy. Judy stops the flip there, is able to walk away, forced to use that burrow charge out because he was about to get rooted and locked down.
He's very, very low. Franco just going to continue to poke here, but Miracle needs more than this. This is not enough damage done. There's just too much sustain on the side of Gen.G. Look at the health bars here. They're winning these trades. They're winning out in poke, and we're talking about a Jaina here. I mean, this is not real poke damage of both DPS. It's half burst, half sustain with the Jaina Hanzo. Miracle is going to clear this wave and look to engage again, but look at Recess positioning. He's safe, but also prepared for a flank. He could get massive damage done.
Also has that Dragon Arrow. That's why you see him staying further back. The further away you are, the more stun link you get. So a lot of the fights, again, are existing just outside of range here. Durance of Hate, see if that goes out. And there's Reset on that backside. He's looking for the big flank right now. You can
They don't see him.
They know the oil, though, has revealed him. Now they've got their eyes. Reset forced to walk away. But a huge lead here for Gen.G on this shrine. Miracle either has to react now or start to back up.
That's exactly right. 39 of 40. They're just going to try to auto-attack the last one. It does go through. Now Miracle's in trouble. Arrow coming out here, gets the stun onto Judy. Lightning Breath to help slow everybody down. They're going to commit to the cocoon. This is going to be an escape success. But the big story here is even post 10, they were unable to even set up and engage to even nano once. They couldn't even cast nano.
Well, they have their eyes on Judah, who's getting knocked around left and right, manages to hop into the bunker, might have been able to exit out of there, but Nacho, Jen, and team, they're getting dove upon, and you can see Kyocha trying to make plays. Blue Beetle keeping the healing alive, and right now, everybody is throwing everything they have in this fight. The Punisher jumps over. That is a shade. So Franco will move back.
Port's going to go down here. It's a mortar Punisher, so it's not going to get much more done than this. Maybe a piece or two of damage on this wall, not even necessarily. And that's the end of the push. 13 is going to be up now for Gen.G, but I want to go back to Gen.G's setup there. They had the flank for reset ready. They had the hard engage potential. They had Lornado for trapping. The cocoon is really what saved Miracle there. Had the cocoon not gone off, Urel would have been able to continue to chase with her Avenging Wrath. So without the nano engage on that shrine, I don't see how, if they can't win a fight this way, when they're on even talent tiers, when they have 10 and they can't even feel comfortable enough to cast Nano Boost, that's how you know this comp is not working out. That's how you know the entire concept here has failed.
Well, I think one of the saving graces for Miracle, when you look at just zoning control, when it comes to I can control an area, I can knock you in, the Urel and the Diablo have a lot of that. Miracle, it's more of just defensive control, maybe not the aggression. You move forward on that top shrine, you're in a tough choke point. So I think a lot of that, the Dragon Arrow is going to hit. Try to catch Frankel on the back end of that. Judy getting knocked around. Durance cast it again. Another miss. Ancient Blessings in response. They're continuing. Watch for Sake. Every time that shade comes out, he's hunting for him with that Lornado. It's on a short enough cooldown. They might be able to get him out of there one time. It's 2 attempts, 0 successes so far, but you can see the thought process.
Yeah, if that Durance of Hate does connect as well, there's opportunities for Miracle. Cast that Nano Boost, blow up a single target, get the Anubrok on that single target that's rooted for such a long period of time, and there's no real save potential with Deckard Cain when that does happen. So if they can actually connect these, there's a lot of potential. Reset again with Tist here, looking for the flank. Nitrogen is the target, caught here before he can jet propulsion away. This is a big problem. How does he ever get out of here, Jay-How?
He has the bunker. See if he's forced to use it. As much damage as he's taken, he is forced to use it. He's going to see himself out. The Lornado not able to keep him in. Blue Beetle will keep the heals alive. That is a big cooldown now. Remember, this is now 80 seconds, not the 60 seconds we had prior to this event. So if that next fight, that next shrine phase starts soon, which we expect that timer to kick in here, then that will be offline for a long period of time. But now Miracle, they're looking for a fight of their own. Durance right in there.
Complete whiff. Again, he has 0 for 3 now on these. And now the arrow is going to be here for the punish. Kocha goes in. Nacho Jin goes to the side here. He's actually unable to help. He used the bunker earlier because he got caught, so he can't save anybody. Frankel in serious trouble. He's the first to die.
Yeah, Nano Boost was out. He was trying to get a shield off of that level 4, but everybody from Gen.G just existed inside of that. But Rich going in, trying to make the plays, gets that agility over the Water Elemental, starting to track down multiple members. Blue Beetle will be the second to fall, and Gen.G with a 2-level lead. 2 people down will now move over. They've got the shrine available to them here in about 15 seconds.
This is going to be the shrine Gen.G wants to end the game with. They're not even interested in the shrine yet. They know with 2 down, they can poke this keep. They've got a massive minion wave here. They are not content to walk away. Dragon's Arrow is still down for 30 seconds. Had that been up, we might have seen a hard engage right there, even before 16. They're so bloodthirsty right now, Gen.G, to win this map. It'll put them the closest they've ever been to winning a series against Miracle this year they've ever been. But now the respawns are out. Durance of Hate, I think, is the big question. Will it actually connect this time? Will it give an opportunity for that single target blow up with the follow-up stuns from Anubrok, the Nano Boost, the poke coming in from the Q?
Gen.G right now, they're prepping this. They're either prepping it to win or to just take such a huge lead that it doesn't matter. What they're going to do is utilize those shaman camps up at the top. If they manage to get the mid keep down, which seems very likely with the 16 talent tier advantage, then they'll get that down. But they'll also have the shaman camp. So look for them. If they get a kill on that middle keep, then they can try and snowball that into the core rush. If they don't get that kill, they'll be able to cycle that rotation potentially to the top lane, depending on that shaman camp position, and maybe double keep off of this. There's a lot of availability here for Gen.G to in the game, or at least just snowball it so hard that Miracle is going to need a desperate fight, which they pretty much already do.
Yeah, Tis just does one Fire Stomp to check top because they didn't have vision of the members that were hiding in the bottom lane. They hearthed home. Now this is going to be the engage they are looking for. Hyperion here just to stagger off the damage. A little bit of peel here. Frankel, Durance of Hate has not been used yet. It's a pretty tough engage now that they're on top of this keep to actually make that connect. Keep goes down here, and it looks like they're going to try to convert on top of Judy. He's the target, but he does get away with the unstoppable.
They've done a very good job. Has Miracle to defend. They've lost 1 keep, but you can see now Gen.G, this was all planned according to them. They're getting the sidewall down. They have the shaman camp. They need to get out of here quicker, though. There's going to be the lockdown. The Durance has landed, but now we see the blow up. That's going to be on Jaina first. The bunker down. They're trying to get another. Tis just trying to survive. Has that fire stuff. You're going to see those heals continue to come in. He's going to be there, but he is stuck in a bad spot.
Frankel's continuing to chase. The arrow has to be used defensively, but Judy once more. Nacho Jin's looking ready for another jet propulsion in just a moment here to catch Tiz. Here it comes. There's the stun. That's going to be the second kill. Gen.G does mount and will escape with 3 members here, so only the 2 deaths, but Critically, Tist will lose all of his stacks. He gets the instant respawn. So this is a huge potential turning point in this game. They lost the keep, but a huge mistake for for Gen.G is punished. They, instead of leaving out the front door, they try to take the side gate and continue to push to get a second keep. That's where they made the mistake, and that's where Miracle came in with the punish.
They stayed a little too long, I think, in that mid keep. They had a clear strategy, but they were looking for that one kill. You get that one kill, it snowballs, it's game over. But the minute you stick around 1 second too long and you don't get that kill, that's what it can look like. Reset had actually used his Blizzard. He was using everything to try and get out of that side gate. But Miracle recognized the Punisher had just jumped. They had the capability to go in. They were able to turn that fight. So excellently played by Miracle. A misstep, though, by Gen.G.
And let's talk about Miracle's late game. Their late game is so amazing. They know how to be decisive in the late game. It feels like sometimes in the early game, they overstep their boundaries. They make a mistake here or there. But in the late game, they are so calculated. They are so good at playing from behind. I can't count on two hands the games this year that Miracle has won. Down all their keeps, down talent tiers, their opponents have 20, and somehow they're able to win every decisive team fight and come back. So when Miracle is down but not out in this game in terms of their late game comebacks.
Well, as things have gone on, a lot of quests have been completed. Ana still waiting to finish hers. One globe away for Nubarak to get even tankier with that regen master. Getting that bonus health will have that completed. Gen.G still does hold a full level lead here, but the race towards 20 seems like that would be almost impossible for Gen.G unless they get a pick or a kill in the meantime. But as you mentioned, those souls for Diablo reset, only 13 right now. That is a very squishy Diablo considering what could be the circumstances with those full souls. And
further, you know, for a while, because of all those pushes that Gen.G was using, they didn't have many souls to gather. You know, there were not a lot of minions available to get souls from here. A lot actually committed here to killing Judy, and he's actually going to be totally fine. So that ends up being unfortunate. The Lord Ano, a lot of cooldowns utilized there, but this is not the fight Gen.G wants. This is where, you know, Kyocha is split pushing, trying to get that 20.
Well, there was an interesting decision. Miracle wants to soften up that lane. They would have loved to have gotten that well because it's here, but they miss out on getting the Shaman camp at the top right, which could give a very strong push, even take that fort at this stage of the game and get some of that experience back. Instead, they're playing more for the Shrine, and that Shrine is active now. You can see the fight starting to happen as Kyocha and team on defense as Miracle moves forward.
Reset is hiding again. If Miracle could identify where he was, they could commit to him. They could use that Durance to actually set up a fight, but it's unfortunately just not possible. Now he's in too good of a position here. Miracle is not even interested in attacking the defenders all too much here. They're looking for the commitment. Here's the stun here on top of Kyocha, but it's not enough. And there's the blow up. That's the end of Judy, and this may just be the beginning of the end of this game.
You can see Durance landed there, but Tist every single time has used that lightning breath.
He's low.
Frankel trying to get there, Tist getting low. Frankel trying to make plays happen. Nacho Jin getting out on the right side, but now Reset is on top of Blue Beetle there. Does have that slow, does have that shotgun ability with that level 7 cooldown, continuing to track down. That's going to be a double kill. Gen.G gets that kill. They'll get the Shrine. They also have 20 coming up soon. Might look to end this game.
They are definitely going to look to end this game. A small mistake on the side of Judy in terms of positioning. He's punished. They looked for the greed. They looked for Kyocha there, hoping that the sustained damage there would have poked him down to force him out. They knew Tist was low. And that fight was on a knife's edge because he was so low. Had Tist died, maybe this is a different scenario. Unfortunately, that is not the scenario, or not the situation we live in now. Because this push is going to guarantee the 20 as this wall goes down. They want to end this game right now, Jay How. All it's going to take is a kill or two.
No keep to bait this over to, so they have a tough defense. 20 picked up now for Gen.G. They have their focus onto this keep. They want to make sure the Punisher goes forward. The minute the Punisher locks onto the core, they bypass that keep. They have minions there. Tis going in, Water Elemental out. You can see the Cocoon onto that Jaina, trying to keep some of that damage around, but Frankel doing his best to defend, but the Punisher doing work, because that's going to be Mephisto and the Nubarak falling.
And now as the core is under attack, there's just simply no way for Miracle to defend. So much burst damage coming out here from Jaina, and that is going to be game number 1, going over to the side of Gen.G. They are the higher seed, the #1 seed from Korea. Now they're 1 win away from taking their first series win against Miracle for the year. Miracle has been their kryptonite. They've played 11 games against each other now. Both series went to game 5 when they faced against each other in league play in phase 1 and in part 2 and part 1 of phase 2. So I feel like when we look at how the rest of this series is going to go, it's not by any means going to snowball from here. We have to also put the asterisk that Miracle tried something a little bit out of the box here. They tried to go for the nano boost on Mephisto with Endurance of Hate. and the execution was not really there.
Yeah, every single time it just seemed like Tist was like, that's fine, I see it coming. He just pops his lightning breath. He knows that's a full all-in commitment. They are strictly reliant on that Durance to get the initiation, get the big team fight that they're looking for. And then when you have a lightning breath in response to that, it's so difficult to say, let's move into this. So I think Gen.G just played that beautifully well.
Certainly did. Well, we are going to go ahead and send it over to the panel to get their thoughts on game number 1.
Gen.G dodged a bullet, or really a Team Liquid, because now they are safe from the tiebreaker. They are guaranteed at least 2nd seed out of the group. But we know they want more. They want to dodge not just Team Liquid, but Team Dignitas. So we know they want to get the next win so they can get top of the group. Haldor, what did you make of that game?
I think it was really well played on the side of Gen.G outside the one situation that popped up in the base of Miracle after they took down the keep. But that one mistake ignored, it was a pretty flawless game from them. Very good control in the team fights, working really well out of the zoning and the slows that they had with Jaina, with Deckard Kane, and then just pick it up on the kills.
Thoughts on Durance and what Miracle were trying to make happen with this?
To be honest, I don't necessarily know the entire thought process going into it. I feel like from beginning to end of the draft, I don't necessarily know if Miracle knew what they were doing getting into that game.
Yeah.
I think to start out, it's picking a battleground in the 2nd pick slot where Diablo is far more viable than Garrosh, and then not willing to commit to that in your 1-2 in the counter and like giving that up in the ban phase. I think there's a lot of other things like Sniper being on a squishy rather than somebody of a higher health pool, which allowing him to get caught out by Deckard. I think a lot of that was not what I expected from Miracle here, and I'm hoping that they have more in them here going to a game 2.
And Noblesse has proven that he's still got the chops to take on his old teammate and deliver the drafts that help Gen.G get a much-needed, much-wanted win here. But like I said before, they also had a win on Shrines the last time they faced off. Let's see if they can do it again. We're going to hear a quick word from our sponsors, and after that, game 2.